talking about PhoneGap today. A brief introduction already kind of happened, but my name is Steve Gill. I work at Adobe on PhoneGap, also on Cordova. I've been working on PhoneGap Cordova for, I don't know, 4 years or something, a long time. In developer years, that's like 1,000 years, I know. But that's why I got the beard going now. No. So yeah, PhoneGap. This is kind of more of an intro, so just to kind of gauge the audience, who here is using PhoneGap right now? Okay, good. Half, maybe a little less. I'm guessing the rest of you are all new and like, what is this crazy thing? I hope to answer that. I'm going to start this a little differently than other presentations. I'm going to jump right into the demo and show you guys how to make a Hello World app using the Cordova CLI. Don't mind me as I bend down here. The first thing you'll notice is that I'm in terminal. Hopefully this does not scare half of you away. I swear it's easy. If you're new to PhoneGap and you want to install it, the first thing I would do is, and this is very simple, the instructions are all online, is go npm install Cordova. Or you could also go npm install PhoneGap. For those of you who are unfamiliar with npm, it's the Node package manager. We're now shipping PhoneGap and Cordova using, it's built with Node. We've kind of bought into the Node npm ecosystem. We just truly believe it's kind of the way to go, it's the way of the future. And we're very happy with where things have gone. But I'm always open to feedback, so I'd love to hear some at the end of this talk. But anyways, you would do this, and it would install this on your machine, and you're good to go. I've already got it, so I'm not going to bother. And then once you have it installed, you can do things like this. Cordova, oh, no, not like that. Oh, can't spell either. Cordova, okay, there we go. And now it's going to give me a bunch of the basic commands. No need to go to any document. So what I want to do is I'm going to create a project, Cordova create, and I'm going to call it Hello World. Don't fail me now. All right. So as you guys can see, kind of, it created Hello World. It threw it in documents, repo, Hello World. So I'm going to go into that directory, see Hello World. And then I can do some crazy stuff like Cordova. Well, one of the things I can do is I can select whichever platforms I want to support. PhoneGap Cordova allows you to build mobile applications and deploy them to any of the major mobile operating systems out there. Windows Phone, iOS, Android, BlackBerry, Firefox OS, Amazon Fire OS, Ubuntu, WebOS, it doesn't matter, you guys get the picture. So the first step here is after you create, is you want to figure out, okay, what platforms do I want to deploy to? For this Hello World, I'm going to go Cordova platform add Android. And you guys can see the command is actually also right there in the help section. So I'm just essentially copying that command. So now it's creating the Android project. I am cheating a little bit. I already have Android set up to work locally on my machine. I've already downloaded, the Android SDK. I have Xcode and stuff for iOS development. I have all of that stuff set up on my machine already. But for this quick example, I'm going to ignore all of that, move forward. So it's prepared an Android project, and the next step is I'm going to go Cordova, what is it? Run Android. So now, what it is doing, it's actually packing up the Android app. So this Hello World app, it created a base application. In that base application, it gave me a basic Hello World app just off the start. That's just kind of what we give you. I prepared it, so I built it. So it builds the APK file, which is what you need for Android to launch to any Android device. And now I'm running it, which is actually going to be deploying this onto my phone. And to show you what that looks like, and hopefully this happens pretty quick. Oh, here we go. And it just launched on my phone. So I didn't do anything. Oh, I just did Cordova run Android, and it launched to my device. This is actually my phone sitting right here. I'm just displaying it on screen. That's pretty much how simple Cordova is to get started. To show you what this application looks like, hold on, I just want to move this up. So this is the structure of your PhoneGap Cordova application. It comes with a top-level config.xml, which just has some generic information like your app's name, you can link it to icons and stuff, add permissions, that kind of thing is in there. Tons of documentation to show you how to do that. It's got a hooks directory, which you can maybe run your own scripts pre-processing or post-processing. It's got merges, so say you have very specific Android code that you don't want to throw into iOS. So when you do a prepare, it goes to merges, it takes the Android-specific code, adds that to your code. So now you have the ability to work in one www folder, which is right there. Add any specific code to merges under the platform name, and then during build, it'll actually put it together in appropriate places. So it essentially allows you to build your Cordova PhoneGap apps in one spot now and truly deploy to all of the platforms you want to support. Previously, you would take your code, you copy-paste it, move it into an Xcode project, and you take it, copy-paste it, move it into an Eclipse project, copy-paste it, move it into whatever other platform environment you're working with. But now we're trying to take that step away, we're trying to make it easier, we're trying to simplify the process for everybody. We honestly think this is a much better workflow. And then the platforms folder is actually where everything is copied into, so if I go in there, you should see Android, because I did platform add Android. And then when it built, this is the stuff that you can see. And Android has all this crazy stuff like an Android manifest. It's got the platform www file that has, so it copies all the www folders. I don't want to get too much into that right now. Going back up, if I go into the www directory, so this is the basic Hello World app that comes. It's got a CSS folder, it's got images, JS, and index.html. During prepare, we actually build the platform-specific Cordova.js and inject that into your application. And the www is just a basic, I don't know if you guys want to see it, so maybe I'll just show it real quick. It's your basic HTML app. It's got a body. It shows Apache Cordova. It listens for this event called device ready, which is fired when Cordova PhoneGap is ready to go. And once that's ready, it means, look, our bridge from native to web to native is available. Now you can start using our APIs. I'll be getting more into APIs shortly. This is kind of a basic gist of Cordova. The last thing I want to show you guys is plugins. So, a quick little summary. PhoneGap allows you to build mobile apps using HTML, JavaScript, CSS. So you're essentially building mobile web apps, but we're not building mobile web apps. We're building mobile apps. In fact, we're building hybrid apps. And by hybrid, what we mean by that is we actually give you access to a bunch of APIs that you wouldn't have access to if you were just building a mobile web app. So you can, access things like the accelerometer, camera. I know camera, you can totally access that in the browser now. But back then you couldn't. File API that we have, so you can actually store documents. That's a little more robust than local storage. Tons and tons of plugins. And with this new kind of CLI world that we've ventured into, it's become incredibly easy to add plugins. So in this case, I would just go Cordova, plugin, add, and say I want to use the camera. Org.apache.cordova.camera. And this stuff's all in our docs, so that's an ID of a plugin. You want me to make it wider? Fair enough. I was going to use that other screen for later, but that's a good point. Cordova plugin add org.apache.camera. And then this will demo gods. But assuming my connection is weak or something, but generally this would work. It would go, grab the plugin, install it in your application. That's not what this talks about right now, but I swear this works.
Hey Steve, so is it going to, you didn't mention like camera plugin for which platform, so how would it know, for Android or iOS?
Yeah, good question. So the plugins themselves have a XML file, plugins.xml, and that actually explicitly lists what plugins are supported by that platform. So when it goes to the install step, it'll look at what platforms you have installed, it'll look at the plugins, plugins.xml file, and it'll only install it to the platforms it supports. So if there's a platform it doesn't support, unfortunately that plugin won't be able to work on that platform. That's something you'll definitely have to take into account when developing. Okay, I'm going to move back to my slides. So that was the Cordova CLI. Just a quick, that's how you use it. It's very easy, I swear. We'll get back to it in a bit. So what is this PhoneGap thing? You know, I kind of just described it. Build mobile apps, deploy them to app stores, you know, access a lot of the native APIs that you don't normally get with just a mobile web app. You know, monetizing the apps, do your thing. If they're hybrid apps, go for it. The way it works is we open up a web view in a native application. We display your HTML, CSS, JavaScript content locally in that web view. So we're not converting it to a language of the platform. We're not converting your web content into Objective-C or Java, for instance. We're just displaying it the way it is. And then we have a bridge for each platform that speaks between the JavaScript and the native side. And all of the plugins are using this interface to talk back and forth between the two. And if you develop a plugin, you would also use the plugin interface that we have exposed to build your own plugins and do the same thing. So I just wanted to touch on a little bit about PhoneGap's history, in case people here are unfamiliar. Back in 2008, it was just a bunch of guys who loved beer and mobile web, and they're like, hey, I want to, you know, get in on this mobile thing. How do I do this? But if you look at the time, you know, iPhone had an SDK, Objective-C, BlackBerry had whatever BlackBerry had, and Android had 1.0, which was not the best thing to work on. I don't need to get into it, but anyways, in 2008, you know, when we started this idea of PhoneGap, these were the platforms we went after. These are the ones we had like very basic support for. The kind of idea was really just getting formed. It was mainly 4 or 5 guys who were working on it at the time. Some of them are still a part of us, some of them have kind of moved on. But it was a good time. And then 2009 was the year of loves and the year of hates. We were loved at JSCon, which is like, you know, premier JavaScript conference. We were loved at O'Reilly Breakout Conference. And then, you know, we were rejected from the App Store. Thanks, Apple. But, you know, we sat down with them, we talked to them, we told them how it worked, and they were cool with it, and that scared them away, and we continued moving forward. 2010, that was our maturing year. That was the year Big Blue joined. Big Blue, I mean IBM. So IBM jumped on board in 2010, became a main contributor. They had 4 or 5 people working alongside us. At the time, we were in Adobe. I'm sorry, forgot that step. But and once they joined the project, it really moved things forward. You know, it's corporations started taking interest. A lot of buzz was being created around the web. You know, we launched PhoneGap Build, the early beta PhoneGap Build, which I'll be getting into a little bit later on as well. 2011, this is our growing pain year. This is the year we got bought by Adobe, so the Adobe guys came and moved over here. At the same time, we donated the PhoneGap code base to Apache, so there's a big transition going on. And it's also the year we launched 1.0. And that was very exciting. After 2 years, 2 years of development, 3 years of being in development, it was nice to finally hit that 1.0 milestone. 2012 was the year that we realized our canvas. So we reached 2.0, we got 1 million downloads, we implemented Cordova.js, which is kind of our idea 2013 was the year we decided to become optionally opinionated. So this was the year we launched 3.0, which was the big shift over to NPM style distribution, to the CLI. Previously, you would download a zip and follow like 100 different steps to get your projects working on all the platforms you're doing. Now you have a few commands, you're good to go and you start. It was also the year we ripped out all of the plugins. So previously, all of these APIs I've kind of touched on, they used to be in the PhoneGap package that we downloaded. So every app that we made using PhoneGap up until this point included all of the code for all of those APIs, even if you weren't using it. That was just the way we were doing it. So you're not going to use the camera, well, you don't have to use it, but the code's still there. Your app still has that unnecessary code, increasing the download size and doing who knows what. So with 3.0, with plugins being ripped out, with the CLI coming out, we finally managed to move away from that, and now you individually install whichever plugins that you want. And 2014, who knows? No, I don't want to get to that. There's a huge cliffhanger. So what's this PhoneGap versus Cordova thing? I keep kind of jumping back and forth. So when we donated the code to Apache, we had to change the name. The name it went in under was Apache Cordova. It went under actually as a different name, but it was a terrible choice of name, and we regretted it instantly. So Cordova is the new name. So Apache Cordova and PhoneGap just became a distribution of Apache Cordova. So I actually spent a lot of my time working on Apache Cordova. So the PhoneGap CLI, which I'm going to show fairly quick, is just a Cordova CLI with remote build capability. Sorry, I have to keep looking back, not mirroring. What do you mean by remote? What do I mean by remote capability? So I kind of mentioned a little bit this thing called PhoneGap Build. So Adobe has this service that if you don't want to set up your local environment to do Windows development, Windows Phone development, or iOS development, say you're on a Windows machine, or if you just don't want to set up the local environment to local development, instead you can now zip up your application, your HTML, your JavaScript, your CSS, have a config file, saying which plugins you want to support, upload it to PhoneGap Build, and it'll give you a binary to install on your devices. So it takes away the entire local build step. It does it all in the cloud and gives it back to you to download. You can even install that directly onto your phone. So just to show you how similar they are, I'm going to do a real quick PhoneGap demo. So I'm going to go, so this one is called PhoneGap now. The other one I was using was called Cordova. PhoneGap, create, PG, hello, world. So I can go into that directly, and then say I want to build Android remotely. So I go PhoneGap, remote, build, Android, I believe that's the command. So it's compressing my local www directory, so any changes I want I can do in that www directory. It's going to compress it, it's going to upload it to PhoneGap build, and it's actually going to build the app. Question?
For my project, what is the difference between going PhoneGap to create something or Cordova?
What's the difference between PhoneGap and Cordova for your...
When I do the create thing at
Yeah.
the end, my project, what would that difference?
Like I said, the PhoneGap CLI is directly using the Cordova CLI. So the project structure is the same. You should be able to go back and forth between the two, actually. I haven't tested that myself, so don't hold me on that.
Like if I don't really know, if I don't really understand what will be the difference, so which one should I go for?
That's a good question. I don't think there's a clear answer, because I go between the two as well. If you're interested in the remote capabilities, I would definitely recommend using PhoneGap, the PhoneGap CLI. And the PhoneGap CLI is also about to get a few extra functionalities that we've been working on as well. But you can't go wrong with the Cordova CLI either. It's a solid tool.
So if I want to use PhoneGap build, I
Yeah.
use PhoneGap.
If you want to use PhoneGap Build, you could use this, or you could also use the PhoneGap Build website as well. You don't have to use the CLI at all if you want to use that. Yeah. It is handy to create through this, yes. So I've built it, and now say I want to run this. Now, this is going to be a little interesting because I'm asking the remote server to run my Android application. Oh,
I misspelled Android.
of course I did. Now, I really like this part. So it's doing the same steps. It's pretty much built with one extra step. It's going to build the app. And give it a second, sorry. Internet's not working great today. Nope. So what it actually did was give me a QR code. So say I don't have ADB installed on my machine. So I have a QR code reader on my phone. I just kind of go to this guy, I scan it, I open the link. It's giving me the whole, are you sure you want to download this thing? Download complete. Install. So I just downloaded the APK right off of the build site using that QR code. I'm going to open it. And there's the Hello World app launched on my phone. So no need to have ADB, no need to have Android set up locally. Pretty easy integration.
So you need to register for build services?
Yeah, so to use the remote capabilities of PhoneGap CLI, you would have it is included in Creative Cloud, so if you are a Creative Cloud member, you get that access, or you can sign up individually. I'm a little unfamiliar with the prices off the top of my head, but it's fairly cheap as far as I remember. I'm sure you can just go to build.phonegap.com. And, pardon?
You might want to let them know they can start and use it locally for free.
Yeah, definitely start to use it locally for free. That's what I would recommend. But it's a great way for people to collaborate with other team members. It's a great way to share the code, that kind of stuff. But I'm going to move on here. So, Apache Cordova, same thing. Build your apps using HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. If you guys are unfamiliar with the Apache Software Foundation, I just want to give a quick little shout out to them. They've helped us with infrastructure, they've helped us with kind of legality issues, that kind of stuff, legal support. Apache isn't composed of companies, it's composed of individuals, which I think is a kind of a big key factor of us going there as well. Yes, I work for Adobe and I work on an Apache project, but I still represent myself in that group. Some of their principles, collaborative software development, commercially friendly standard license. They use Apache 2.0, which you can pretty much do whatever you want with. Consistently high quality software, they have tons of good projects. Respectful, honest, technical-based interaction. So we work with a lot of other companies, and this is kind of generally how we get work done with them. Faithful implementation of standards. Security is always a big thing at Apache. When you're a new project, we went through this as well. You have to go through an incubation process, and that ensures that you're kind of following some of their legal processes they have in place. And who actually contributes to Cordova? So this is always kind of an interesting page. It's not just Adobe. BlackBerry has a bunch of people on it. Google's got the second largest team on it right now. And they've actually integrated mobile Chrome apps using Cordova now. So if you're making Chrome apps, you can deploy them to mobile using Cordova with some of their Chrome-specific APIs as well as plugins. So that's super neat. Microsoft's been a big contributor as well. IBM always, Intel, and recently, we also have Amazon contributing. We also have Mozilla contributing now. We have Canonical contributing, and tons of individual contributors as well. It's not just big companies. So it's a pretty solid community. A big reason for our popularity and success has been our candidates. We've been on We like to show our users that, look, we are working on this. We are trying to fix these bugs. We're trying to get them to you as fast as possible. Not too fast that we break everything all the time, hopefully. But it's really helped kind of grow adoption and move the project forward. If you're interested in contributing, go to our wiki. This is a link, so hopefully you guys get these slides after this. It's just wiki.cordova.io, and it'll have a section on contributing. It'll have a section on how to become a committer, if that's something you're interested in. We have an amazing community, so we really hope some of you guys decide to come join us and help contribute and make Cordova even better. Or you can check out some of the other data stuff projects like CouchDB that do open office support. So when I said 2014 cliffhanger, this is kind of a vague statement, but I'm going to go into detail. Easier to get started. That's one of our goals this year. For people who are a little afraid of the CLI, I know the CLI isn't for everybody. So we are working on a non-CLI GUI to make installation and app development much easier. We're also working on kind of a PhoneGap app to integrate into the workflow as well, which we'll be announcing details about shortly. And we're working on more plugins all the time. One that's coming up is the accessibility plugin. Now, go build the kick-ass app. That's my turn. Thanks. Any questions? The Eclipse ADT tool. So that was never officially under development by us. That's always been a third party, but there still are a lot of those that are under development. I forget what the newest one's called. I'm not sure. I think it may have forked off of that one.
So are you trying to tell us your tools are a lot better than ADT?
No. If you're into Eclipse and you want to use Eclipse and ADT, we 100% support it. Yeah.
I think you might have forgotten to mention, but for maybe all the Google apps now use Cordova to run on iOS and Android as of Friday.
All of the Google apps use Cordova.
App Store.
Oh, I did not hear that.
If you go to it's all over Twitter.
Yeah. I know they, I mentioned the whole mobile Chrome app thing.
Yeah.
So I definitely mentioned that. I'm not sure if all of their apps currently in the App Store have also switched to using that, but
That's my understanding.
I don't know.
I'll tweet it on the Meetup page
Yeah.
if anybody wants to read it.
Yeah, totally, definitely do.
I'd like to suggest that as part of your making it easier to get started,
Yeah.
that really focus on, for people who have Eclipse installed
Yeah.
already, and then they want to start using PhoneGap as part of their Eclipse, your documentation for how to do that is the worst ever. I mean,
You know what? Honestly, we do not recommend using Eclipse.
but what I'm saying is that given the number of people who are using Eclipse to start developing mobile apps, and they go like, oh crap, I don't want to be an Android developer, I would much rather be able to use something like,
Even Google has stepped away from using Eclipse for native Android development. Like they're still supporting it, but they switched to another tool to do their Android development.
they're going to try and move to IntelliJ, but
Yeah.
that doesn't change the number of people that already have Eclipse.
I completely agree.
So
And
given the install base, it would behoove you to make it easier for those people to start developing with PhoneGap.
I will definitely take that feedback. Thank you.
Are you guys doing anything to reduce the footprint and the size of the app? Because I think like the boilerplate apps are like 8 megabytes right now.
Yeah, I think the boilerplate apps have been a little large just because of like the splash screen and some of the images that we include. So we're actually in the process of shrinking the boilerplate app to something even simpler. So that will shrink. But generally, when you're making your own app, you rip up our splash screens and all of those assets we provide part of the Hello World app anyways. So the footprint has decreased quite a bit. The size of PhoneGap apps ever since 3.0 has shrunk. The bridge has become a lot faster since PhoneGap 3.0. We've done a lot of enhancements. So now talking between native and the web view is like for Android, it was like a 500% increase or something like that. Like way faster, especially for newer devices.
What about, can you talk a bit about accessibility? Like what do you mean by supporting accessibility? Are you talking about the ARIA like specs putting yeah, like using those in the HTML to like make it more accessible, or you talking about like native accessibility APIs?
Let's chat about that after, because I think it's a bit of a longer discussion. I saw one there. Yeah. Yeah. You're talking about debugging? Yeah. NASA is going up right after me, and this whole talk is about debugging. So,
Second question for Apache Foundation, telecoms contribute to that as well.
Can telecoms? Oh, do they? I don't know if we do have any telecom contributors to our project, but I'm sure they must be contributing to some of the other Apache projects. I don't know that one for sure. Okay, quick Google search away.
So when I started with PhoneGap, I was challenging was finding the front-end framework that works with SJS. Any plans to standardize on some front-end framework that we think you're on? Or
Yeah, that's a good question. We've always stayed really far away from that debate about which frameworks to use, just because it's always, up to what the developer's doing, what their preferences are. Personally, I don't have bad experiences with Bootstrap, but other people are not big fans of Bootstrap at all. A good one that's up and coming, that's still in development, but it's up and coming and it's focused on PhoneGap is Topcode, which is another free open source MIT licensed library that's being built at Adobe here specifically to work with PhoneGap apps. So I would suggest maybe Googling that. But you can't go wrong with a lot of the frameworks that are out there. There's so many. There's always a new flavor every month from the looks of it. That whatever you feel most comfortable with would be my recommendation.
Android phones support currently WebView, or is it still the Android?
That's a good question. He asked if Android supports Chrome WebView or the stock Android browser WebView. It depends on the platform. On, I believe, KitKat, the latest Android, they swapped the WebViews to use Chrome WebView, but all the previous ones still use the stock Android WebView. And they're moving towards switching to the Chrome WebView now.
example apps that exercise a lot of APIs.
We do have like some kitchen sink apps that show the APIs in action. There's some good blogs to see if you really want to check out some good sample apps being made. One person is Christopher Conrad's. I know I'm just throwing a name out right now. Maybe after I'm done I can give you his contact info, his blog at least. And another one is Holly Dev Bell Girl is her handle, Dev Bell Girl. And they make sample apps all the time, and they're always giving out tips and tricks about PhoneGap and Cordova and X framework.
What desktop is it run on?
Pardon?
You mentioned desktop. What desktop?
For desktop? So we are kind of looking into supporting desktop browsers. We do support Windows 8 right now. So not just Windows Phone 8, but we support Windows 8. You can develop straight into that. But we're looking into adding a browser option as a platform as well, which might, deploy to Chrome App Store, Firefox Marketplace, and stuff like that. Is that kind of the question you had? We do have support for Windows 7 too, but it's not a priority. That's what I'm trying to say.
Status on like just-in-time compiled JavaScript.
That's really, I think, up to Apple, up to the manufacturers. That's out of our hands as far as how much control we have. Apple only allows you to use their compilers that they expose. You can't include any of your own. So we're kind of stuck there. Android, you could probably get away with some other stuff. We have been looking at including other web views as well. So maybe a Gecko view, maybe a custom Chromium view, that kind of stuff. But it's still in the kind of planning stages, experimenting stages. All right. How about you just catch me after? We'll chat more. All right. Thank you, guys.